This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website to help you stand out and succeed online, but more on them later. It's that magical time of the year again. Watches and Wonders is just over a month away, so let's speculate on what we could be seeing this year. Starting with Rolex. If you follow my channel, you know that I love Rolex. I wish I didn't, but I do. I find making Rolex predictions is almost always pointless because they will be cooking up something that no one saw coming. For example, the Oyster Perpetual Celebration, the left-hand drive GMT, the titanium Yacht Master. You can't even pretend these were on your bingo cards because they are so left of field. So for my left of field Rolex prediction, I'm going to say a green dial Explorer 2. This is the heavy-hitting watch journalism you tune into this channel for, baby. But for real, on a more predictable note, Rolex has been teeing up 2025 to be the year of the GMT. So Rolex first released the GMT Master in 1954 for Pan Am airline pilots, and the following year, in 1955, it was available for consumers. This was the first watch capable of displaying two separate time zones, with the addition of the central 24-hour hand and the bidirectional rotating bezel. This is such a storied and important model of the Rolex catalog, and I think it will be treated with a lot of care and consideration and reverence to the past. I think we could possibly see the return of a white dial GMT Master, referencing the 6542 albino dial. And it's made even more plausible to my mind, with Tudor testing out a similar variation to see if it would be a viable risk for Rolex. Another, more obvious prediction is the return of the Coke, or RONR, so a red and black bezel variation. Every single year, people say it's coming back. Every single year, I say it's coming back, and I genuinely feel like it is every single year. And this is another year where I strongly feel like it's coming back. But it probably won't, but maybe. GMT aside, the other big rumor at the moment is that Rolex will be discontinuing a couple of Oyster Perpetual models, namely the Celebration and Green Dial variations. I have made it shamelessly well known how much I love the Celebration Dial Oyster Perpetual, so this hurts a special place of my soul. But hey, if your biggest problem is you couldn't get a Rolex Celebration Dial allocation, you're doing okay. This isn't a real problem. If they do indeed discontinue the Celebration dial, I'd be curious to see if they drop all of the color dial Oyster Perpetuals altogether. This is just my little fan theory, but the purpose of the celebration was to commemorate the success of the colorful dial Oyster Perpetuals released in 2020. I think it would make a lot of sense to close this chapter completely, removing all of these models and the celebration, and have it be a short-lived special reference for Rolex collectors. Will I be sad? Yes. Do I think this would be an awesome move? Also, yes. Moving on, and I think this is something that is more unlikely and just something I want to see, and that's Rolex experimenting more with titanium and adding more titanium models to their catalog. This isn't a material that they work with very much, but I think there's a few models that titanium would really suit, namely the Explorer 2. But once again, this is more of a fan theory rather than something that I think is likely to happen. And lastly, for Rolex, we will see a lot of updates and discontinuations of specific Datejust, day dates, little tweaks and dial updates, but nothing too major. Side tangent, I really wish I could afford a day date. It's one of those watches if I won the lottery. It's just one of those timeless staples, you know? You know what else is a timeless staple? Having a great looking website. You know where this is going. We need to talk about today's fabulous video sponsor, Squarespace. If you are doing anything online, in person, maybe you have a podcast or brick and mortar shop, you need a website. But I don't know how to make a website. I think very few people do, and this is what Squarespace does. They have hundreds of beautiful, pre-made templates. You just have to select one that speaks to you, plug in your information, and you can have a website done, ready to go, in less than an hour. I really like the system of having templates like this. I just can't imagine stuff, you know? Like if I met up with someone who asked me to describe what I'd like my website to look like, I just can't imagine things. I need to see them in order to start picturing it and what it could look like when it's all together. I'm basically just describing that I have no imagination. If you want to make it even easier, they have this thing called Design Intelligence, which combines Squarespace design expertise and AI technology to build a website tailored to your specific needs. And everything is still customizable, so if there's anything you want to change or tweak, it's no problem. If you are selling anything, Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage all your payments, all in one place. Plus, they give your customers so many ways to pay, including direct debit, Apple Pay, Klarna, Afterpay if you're in the US or Canada, and ClearPay in the UK. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use my code, the Brit Pierce code, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Go check them out, and thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So, moving on to Patek Philippe, and I feel like we've been witnessing Patek in the middle of a bad hair day, with the launch of the Cubitus maybe not going how they wanted it to, and the response to the public reaction. I think Patek is going to have to own the Cubitus and now refine it over the years. I think we could be seeing a smaller version of the Cubitus, or a ladies' Cubitus, with a 7 reference number. Even though this would technically be a ladies' Cubitus, I think it would work for a lot of men as well. One of the big design issues I have with the Cubitus is the size and the amount of dial space. To make it a few millimeters smaller would really shrink down that dial space, make it a bit more proportional, and maybe open up a whole new audience to this watch. Next, and this is still Cubitus related, and I don't think it will happen, but I would really like to see it happen, but I don't think it will, but a mini Cubitus. Like a tiny, very mini Cubitus, I think would be adorable and very on trend. My other fan theory is that I would like to see something replace the Calatrava Pilot that was discontinued. I was a big fan of the 7234, and I'd like to see that return, or something like it, maybe with a few updates. I'm really interested to see what the future holds for Patek and how they will respond to changes in the global buying market. There's been a lot of slowdown of luxury purchases in China, a lot of Europe, and the US as living standards grow harder for the middle and working class. I think we are going to see luxury brands like Patek really focusing on their ultra high end and entry level, and maybe focusing less on the middle of the pack pieces. That's my hobbyist theory. Time will tell what actually happens. Now, let's talk about IWC. These last 2 years have been really big ones for the brand at Watches and Wonders, with the reintroduction of the Ingenieur, which I think was a brilliant move, and then, last year, being the year of the Portugieser, with the showstopper of the Eternal Calendar. If I had to guess, I would say IWC is going to return to some sportier updates, maybe a few new variations of the Ingenieur in steel and titanium, new dial colors. What if they did a kinda colorful dial take on the Ingenieur, kind of like the Rolex Stella dials or those colorful Oyster Perpetual dials, maybe something flat and really colorful, really bold. I think they have the groundwork with the aqua green, but imagine turquoise blue dial, titanium case. That would be sick. Moving on to Vacheron Constantin, and VC is a bit more of an enigma to me. They've had a huge release recently with the return of the stainless steel 222. Absolute slam dunk. I've heard rumors of a stainless steel Historiques American 1921, which I think everyone would be pretty jazzed up about. The white gold looks amazing, but of course comes with the white gold price tag. A stainless steel variation would make a pretty iconic model that little bit more affordable for people wanting to get into the brand. I'd love to see more VC models available in stainless steel in general. It would bring down the retail prices, which is great for people like me who would love to own one of their beautiful watches but can't afford one. I'm really interested to see how Vacheron is going to treat their sporty lines in these next few years. With the reintroduction of the 222, which is quite similar to the Overseas, I'm interested to see how they will differentiate these model families. I think they will keep the 222 forever a time-only, simple throwback, and allow the Overseas to be a place where they can get a little bit more crazy with it. Okay, let's talk about Tudor. If you follow my channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Tudor. What they are offering at the price category is insane, and their timepieces are genuinely enjoyable to wear. This is another brand where it's impossible to predict, but I'm going to do my best here. I think this year will be a bit of a holdover year for Tudor. I don't think we're going to see anything big or jaw-dropping this year, and next year they will release something massive. Tudor's heritage began in 1926 when Hans Wilsdorf registered the trademark, and then their first watches hit the market in 1946. So 2026 will mark 100 years of Tudor existing, at least as a concept, and 80 years since their watches were first released. They will still give us something this year to talk about. I think maybe updated clasps on the Black Bay 58. Please, Jesus, please let them update the Black Bay 58 clasps to the T-fits. Please. And more METAS certified movements. I think this year is going to be quiet for them, and next year will be the big year. Okay, so TAG Heuer isn't my wheelhouse as much, but it is a brand I have a real growing interest of and a fondness for. 2025 is going to be a big year for them, and I think it is going to be a very racing-themed year. TAG Heuer is returning as the official timekeeper of Formula One, taking over from Rolex, and on top of that, 2025 marks the 40-year anniversary of Technique d'Avant-Garde acquiring the Heuer brand, forming TAG Heuer. So, if I was to make any TAG Heuer predictions, I'm saying motor racing, motor racing, motor racing. Okay, so last but not least, Omega. And even though they don't participate in Watches and Wonders, I still want to talk about them and what 2025 might have in store. I feel like Omega had a banger of a 2024 with the White Dial Speedmaster and the reintroduction of the first Omega in space. Just a great year for Speedmaster lovers in general. I think this year could be the year of the Seamaster Planet Ocean, as it was first released in 2005, so it is turning 20 this year. We've already seen a model for the 2026 Olympic Games with the 37mm Seamaster, and as we get closer to the Winter Olympics in Milan, I'd expect to see more Omega drops honoring their close, long-running partnership. And my final Omega prediction, and this is almost more of a hot take, but I predict, and I don't think this will happen, but I predict by the end of 2025, we are going to know who the new James Bond is. There will be a movie trailer and a new Bond watch that we will know about that will be available in 2026. I have no idea if any of that will happen. That is my hot take, and I really hope it happens. Anyways, guys, those are just some of my fan theories. I find every single year that everything I predict doesn't ever happen. That was a big sentence. I don't know if it made sense. I would expect everything I said not to happen. Thank you to Squarespace once again for sponsoring this video. You are amazing. And thank you to the Pope tier patrons, all the fabulous people of Gringa Town who keep this channel going. Get their names on the screen. Alright guys, this was just a fun little video. I'm getting so excited for Watches and Wonders this year. I think I've officially decided I'm not going to go. I was toying with the idea of going and I wasn't sure, but I've officially decided I'm not going to go. George is too young. I have a newborn. He's going to be 8 months-ish around that time. He's just a bit too young, but this isn't about me. What am I blabbing on about? This is about you fabulous names on the screen. Thank you so much for supporting my weird little channel, and I'm able to keep going because of you. So thank you so much.